I guess it's that time again.
Da-dum.
Hello everyone. As you can see, I got dressed up for the occasion today, and we may have a mini TARDIS with us. So yes, we're here to talk about the 60th anniversary special number 2, Wild Blue Yonder. So right off the bat, I'm going to say I really enjoyed this episode bar one thing, and that is a bit of historical inaccuracy, shall we say. I mean, I'm nothing against the actor, but when you race swap characters it's different, but when it's a real person, I think that's going a bit too far. It's like the whole Anne Boleyn thing again. But anyway, that is literally it. I mean, there's the comment about the Doctor possibly being gay, but again, that doesn't really bother me because
it was a bit off the cuff.
Yeah, the Doctor's always been, for me personally, aside before Rose, the Doctor was asexual. He wasn't really interested in anything. So no. The fact that he's in, oh well, to be fair,
no, when he was Mr. Smith, he got married and had a life.
No, they were engaged. They didn't get married.
Oh right, yeah.
And that technically wasn't a Doctor. But also, in Series 1, Christopher Eccleston's Doctor snogs Jack Harkness. So, again, always been there. So
always been ambiguous. So.
Yeah, exactly. So, aside from that, you know,
I liked it.
Yeah, we liked it.
Of the 3, it was actually my favourite.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you, to be fair.
It was a standalone episode. There wasn't so much silliness in it.
Aside from the whole Mavity joke.
Yeah, which is a recurring joke now.
And the fact they've carried that on to the Christmas special as well. That's probably one of the good things about doing these reviews in hindsight, is we now know what happens later, so you can reference things that happen later. From a mother's point of view, she didn't really like this episode. No. She thought it was a bit nothingy.
Boring.
Whereas I quite enjoyed it because of the unknown horror. It was a bit Lovecraftian, and to me it's very, very inspired by Event Horizon, especially like when they're in the corridors and
walking through the flashing lights, etc.
And another big caveat we've got to mention, but in one of the 2 instances I think they fix it a little. First of all is the flux. I'll show you a clip.
The flux. It destroyed half the universe because of me. We stand here now on the edge of creation, a creation which I devastated. So yes, I keep running, of course I do. How am I supposed to look back on that? It wasn't your fault. I know!
So, they address the flux in this episode, and what I think Russell's done great here is you actually see the Doctor's reaction to the destruction of half the galaxy.
He's absolutely horrified.
Yeah, in the actual Flux show, Series 13, the Doctor didn't really react at all, and we didn't even know if half the galaxy was gone. It was just left ambiguous at the end of that series, and to have these answers now and to see the Doctor's literal internal horror and anger brush out, especially when he's bashing against the walls.
And as he said, it's not his fault, but he feels responsible.
But the other caveat is they do indirectly mention the Timeless Child. I mean, yeah, you know it was coming, but still, it's very just off the cuff and one line, so I suppose I can live with it. But aside from that, I think we've gone on enough about the caveats. Let's go on to the actual episode. So, how does it start? We meet Isaac Newton. We won't get into the whole other thing again.
No.
Then they bump into him, and I love this joke. Donna makes a joke saying, "Do you have the TARDIS scepter famous?" Because obviously he always bumps into
famous people.
And then that causes the whole Mavity thing, because they say gravity and he mishears them and thinks Mavity. And that obviously ripples through time and changes.
And becomes a standing joke.
And changes Donna's reality, and obviously now Ruby Sunday's reality, because
it's
good old Shooty mentioned Mavity in Church of Ruby Road. So, back to Wild Blue Yonder. The TARDIS crash lands on a ship. And the reason it crashes is because Donna spilt coffee in the console. Now, to be perfectly honest, that was a bit silly. It would have been. I think I think it would have been more interesting if somehow, like, because obviously we knew the Celestial Toymaker was coming. It would be more interesting if it was the Celestial Toymaker that actually made them crash on this ship.
But it might have been.
It might have been, you never know. But another thing you can say about this episode is it's a bit like the first Indiana Jones film. If you take Indiana Jones out of the first movie, the events of that film would play exactly the same as they would without Indiana Jones, and it's the same for Wild Blue Yonder, really, if you think about it. We'll jump to the end, of course, because the old captain killed herself, so the evil entities couldn't read her mind. But obviously the robot is set to automatically self-destruct the ship. So if the Doctor and Donna hadn't arrived in the first place, that still would have happened. Yeah. So them being there was
almost a bit irrelevant.
Yeah, a bit irrelevant, but again, we wouldn't have a story if that was the case. And you get some really great character moments in this episode.
You do indeed.
And I think that's probably why it's yours and my favourite episode so far. Out of the 4 we've seen, actually 4.5 if we count the Children in Need special. This one was the darkest, it was the creepiest, it felt the most mature. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Mature is the right word.
Yeah. There's a couple of bits in the giggle that I'll get to when we do that review that are quite mature, and obviously Mother loves that episode because of her
the happy ending for David Tennant's Doctor.
But we'll talk about that more in the actual review. So they get on the ship, there's no one around. The Doctor jokes about licking something and pretending to be poisoned. Obviously this is what's great about having the Donna.
But what happens before that is when the TARDIS disappears, and immediately she gets into character.
Oh yeah, she says the whole. Then let's go kick its ass. Yeah, that was brilliant.
That was brilliant. I like that.
Seeing the Donna and Doctor again, especially in like a standalone bottle episode, and again, this goes to my issue of these 60th anniversary episodes not really feeling like 60th anniversary episodes. And again, I'm going to refer to Power the Doctor. I might even show you a clip. You had so many Doctors in that episode, and then in this, all you've got is the Doctor and Donna. And don't get me wrong, they're good. It
works really well because they play off each other.
All good episodes, and this one especially because Catherine Tate and David Tennant have great chemistry together. But it's not
special.
Yeah, it's not celebrating 60 years to me. It's just. It's basic. It feels more like
it's just a very good episode that could be have come at any time.
It could even be. You could take this out and probably slot it in series 4, and that sort of kind of it goes to another feeling of mine. Is this feels like a highlight reel of Russell T Davies going back to his years running Doctor Who and almost ignore. Well, obviously he doesn't because we'll get on to that in the next review. But he's kind of almost taken it back straight to the way he ran the show, and like nothing's happened, and it's you get mixed feelings from it. But then obviously you find these secret entities, and they're at the edge of the universe. And the Doctor says this is the furthest he's been out, but that's not technically true because he's been to East Space, he's been to parallel realities. So, a bit of a continuity there, but again, it's for the setting, and the setting's great.
And you mentioned about the 15 years business as well.
Oh yeah, right at the end of the episode, the Doctor says to Donna, "Oh, it's been 15 years since we've seen each other." Well, in the Doctor's case, it isn't, because Matt Smith's Doctor lived for like 1,000 years. He was like 2,000 or 3,000 years old by then, whereas David Tennant's 10th Doctor was only like 950. So for the actual Doctor, the 14th Doctor, it's been thousands and thousands of years since he saw Donna last. But again, I'm ranting here.
But from her point of view, it could have been 15 years.
Exactly. But
which
again,
I think is what he's probably getting at. But, who knows?
Again, I'm ranting here. Just general thoughts of the episode itself. Obviously, this episode was quite CGI heavy, especially with the ship. And again, the ship looks like the Event Horizon as well. That's another
I like
feeling.
the ship, though.
Yeah.
I thought it was fantastic. When everything turned around.
Yeah. The outdoor shots.
Mummy liked the ship.
Mummy liked the ship. Mummy did like the ship. The outdoor shots look great. All the space bits look great.
Yeah,
and even
yeah.
when you see the old pilot that sacrificed herself to stop these entities, looks great. It's just the corridor scenes that look a bit janky to me. If you really pay attention to it, some of the CG in those shots looks a bit wonky, but you can forgive it for Doctor Who. But the thing is, they're promoting this so much that, now they've got Disney's backing, they've got Disney money, there's a load more profit in the show. And some aspects you can see it and some you don't.
Yeah.
Anyway, we keep tailing off of our actual review of the episode. Obviously, we meet these entities, and the entities themselves are very... Do you remember the episode Midnight from Series 4 of Doctor Who? Where the Doctor's on this travel car on a planet that's got no oxygen. And the train... It's a bottle episode, and the train gets captured and a woman gets possessed and starts mimicking the Doctor's words. This almost feels like a spiritual sequel to that episode, with these two entities copying the Doctor and Donna.
And reading their minds.
And reading their minds.
And becoming them as close as they can be.
Morphing into the monsters. They almost turn into vampires at one point. The only bits that look a bit goofy are when they turn really, really big and get stuck in the hallway. That was a bit goofy. Oh, the train cart you liked, didn't you?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
But yeah, they meet these entities. They're trying to find out what's going on, and they're trying to make peace with them, essentially, because that's obviously in the Doctor's nature. But obviously, the entities, being in a void, seeing the universe from a distant perspective, all they see is war and chaos. So they pretty much want to destroy us straight away. So that obviously puts the Doctor and Donna in a situation.
But they've also taken some of the points of view from them by reading their minds.
Yes, they kind of absorb their personalities.
They've taken some of the hatred from and hostility actually from them too.
Yeah, and that's how the Doctor and Donna eventually find out who's who. Because they kind of double cross the truth with a lie behind the truth. Yeah. When Doctor says, the Donna thinks she's useless.
Yeah,
but
she doesn't really. She thinks she's brilliant at the same time.
Exactly, and that sort of stuff. Like as I said, the Catherine Tate and David Tennant's chemistry is great. And it's fantastic. And
I can't quite understand how he makes the mistake at the end and takes the wrong.
Yeah, that's one caveat. And he makes the mistake, gets the wrong Donna, and when he eventually does get rid of the fake Donna and the real Donna comes in, you'd think she'd be a bit pissed off with him, wouldn't you? You'd be like, "Hey, you left me behind. I almost bloody died because of you." But no, they just get on. They look a bit shocked and horrified. And yeah, we see the captain. Obviously, we don't. It's an unknown species, and I think Russell T Davies even said to the official podcast guys
could be anything, really,
that they
distant galaxy.
They could name the actual horse-like creature, so it might have an official name now. You never know. I know Elliott knows one of the podcasters, Crystal D, so I'll have to ask Elliott what the lore is on that new alien that was floating in space. Yeah. So anyway, the general episode, we'll get to right at the end. We'll talk about that in a minute. But we'll talk about that in a minute. But generally, what did you think about the episode?
I really liked it, generally.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a standalone, really good episode. But I didn't think it had enough special about it to be an anniversary.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. It just feels like a bog standard Doctor Who bottle episode. A really, really good one.
A very good one.
But again, as I said, these anniversary specials do not feel like anniversary specials. And the only time we sort of semi-get a multi-Doctor story is in the next one. And that I will have a talk about, because again, I'm going to say it now before I get to the review, Russell T Davies has stolen one of my ideas again.
Oh no.
And it has to do with, I didn't call it, he did. It has to do with the bi-generation. And I'm not pissed off at the bi-generation, I'm just pissed off that Russell T Davies got to it before I did. That's all I'll say on that matter until we get to the actual review. So let's talk about right at the ending. We finally see Bernard Crimmins as Wilfred Mott.
Yeah.
And it was so fantastic.
It was fantastic.
And even though
Exactly.
Mother didn't really like this episode, she thought it was a bit pointless. Obviously, as soon as Wilfred Mott came on, she was like almost in tears, same as us. Like, he was such an important character, especially for the last series and the specials. He was essentially the 10th Doctor's last companion. So to see him there again, and for him to, even though he only filmed one scene, which is quite sad, they do sort of kind of have him in the next episode, but it's obviously a body double at the beginning, and then at the end he's off screen.
But it doesn't matter really, does it?
No, it doesn't matter, because
it gives the idea that
and the fact he was there, he signed off on it. I've seen the behind the scenes. He looked so happy to be back, and I think if he had lived a bit longer, he'd have probably been in the third episode and probably been kicking ass with his granddaughter and the Doctor.
A great actor, and he's been going a long time.
And he was in the first ever proper Doctor Who movie, wasn't he, with Peter Cushing?
Yeah, that's true. An assistant.
So, yeah. R.I.P.
Many moons
Bernard
ago.
Crimmins. I mean, he was an icon, so that's all we can really say about that. So,
And worked to the end in harness, as we all had to do.
Yes.
wise words from Mother.
Always.
He was just off screen. We're hoping to have her on screen
at some stage soon.
In the next episode, because obviously the next episode is Mother's favourite episode, so it feels right for her to finally get her ass on a seat and be in front of the camera. But no, she's still pretty and well. But no,
do her hair.
I'm kidding. I'm
And
kidding.
mascara.
She's still not great, but
No.
obviously she's sitting right behind us. But you know,
Hence the comments.
yeah, hence the comments and hence the. Yeah, I've just lost my train of thought, sorry. Anyway, any last comments or thoughts about this episode and what you got an inkling for the next episode?
I think it was heading in the right direction, and I think the relationship worked very well, and it came in with a tie-up at the end of the next episode with what happens to the Doctor, the second Doctor, or the copy Doctor, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, we'll talk about more of that in the actual proper giggle review.
I did enjoy it.
Yeah, that's honestly my opinion for this episode. I thought it was a great Doctor Who episode. Just a bit of a disappointing 60th anniversary episode, and that was my feeling for...
It was a psychological thriller, really.
Yeah, and that was my feeling
rather than the action.
Yeah. But again, we enjoyed it. And that is all we can hope for Doctor Who fans.
Course.
I mean, I'm even wearing my first teenage Doctor costume in celebration for this. So you might see me...
If you enjoy it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you might see me semi-regenerate into my next costume, so...
I might pinch that coat back, actually.
Yeah.
No, you won't. This is my Doctor Who jacket. You can't have it.
Look,
Right.
ongoing dispute there about costumes, but still.
Anyway, I think we've talked enough now.
I think we have.
Yes.
I think we've done it.
I think we have. So, any last
Farewell.
words? Any last words for our
Not really,
viewers?
no. Just
not really, no.
Thank you for watching us, and I hope we have a few more fans out there, and we'll be back with you really soon.
Thank you very much for viewing our video. I don't know what Mother's doing behind. She's giving me the thumbs up, so I'll just go with that and just, do that. So,
Night.
see you later and goodbye.
Farewell.
And thank you very much for tuning in with us as we watch and review these Doctor Who episodes. And we'll see you next time.
Very
for
soon.
The giggle.
Hooray!
Neil Patrick Harris as the Celestial Toy Maker.
Bye.
Coming soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Mummy says bye. Go.